Good afternoon, Senate Institutions. It's Wednesday, April 12th, and we're just divvying up some reporting duties on the Capitol bill, and we'll have some random questions that get asked as we're going down through the section. So welcome to Senate Institutions. Okay, yep.
You're going to draft up a little paragraph explaining what our
Little cheat sheets.
Yeah.
So I can draft. I can't do a floor report, but I can just do the section summaries of what each section
Yeah, like a
is.
summary. We've got.
Yeah.
Well, we've had before in the past, and you did it with us.
Yeah.
Past. We've had a longer section and a shorter section, and so
It's helpful to have it in capsule form.
Yes.
right. And we can do some practice runs that once Becky does that, we can go down through and actually do some practice reporting as far as on that. If that's whatever anybody wants to do. It's a big bill, and so whatever everybody's gonna be happy with. Okay, so section 2, we've determined I'm gonna keep section 2. Section 3, what did we decide?
Just Irene.
I can take that.
Okay, so I wrote down.
Section 3 is either it's human services, you see that listed down below, that Senator Palmer has.
Correct.
You're right.
But I'm going to give it to Irene.
Okay,
She
so we're
usually
gonna
has
do that.
2 sections.
Okay.
I feel like
Okay, so we're gonna do, so I'm gonna cross that off right there. I'm gonna cross it off right there.
I don't want to interrupt
No,
you, but
wait.
just wanted to note.
We want you to interrupt.
Because there are language parts of the bill associated with different areas, like for example, human services, there is a bunch of language. I can note that in my section summary where the money sections are related to the policy sections, if you're keeping that reporting together.
Yeah, that'd be really good. I have everything on fingertips.
All right.
Section 4.
Wait,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Your
yeah.
question.
Yes, please, and I apologize, because this is kind of going back, but I had the first spreadsheet that we had, which had the department request, and there's an item, youth inpatient beds, that the department wanted, and it was $3 million each year, and I don't recall the conversation on that, and just.
Which section?
2, the original section 2. It's at the bottom of, it wouldn't be on this anymore because this doesn't have the department request, it's not on this sheet. But I was comparing, this was the original sheet that we made. And just my concern is that this, I would think is mental illness focus. I don't know.
Is that the short-term stabilization?
I don't know, it's youth and patient beds.
Show that to
So it
you.
actually should be.
It says there's 12 in the southwest portion of the state.
I've learned a lot more about mental health gaps
Well,
since
being in this
I was
committee, I can
first
see why.
here.
I was just.
Isn't it the book? That's funny.
Isn't it the book one?
I don't know, I just noticed
Should
it.
be
and
the
it
report.
just-
Line 40 on the original thing.
Yes,
We
yes.
just have to figure
So
out
I
what
just want to double check that there isn't something
Oh, yeah.
that we should.
I
be-
wrote gone, it's gone.
Oh, yeah, for adolescents at the Southern Vermont Medical Center. Mental
Page
health
36 in this
education
book.
program. Yes.
It's in the
I
big.
don't wanna state this, like, I need to confirm this, but I think that might be like, associated with language in the budget, so. In the big bill.
Oh, so maybe it is taking care of that?
So I can confirm that.
So it just got on the Capitol bill.
That would be great. That would be wonderful, because I have just become much more alert to the needs for the services. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Appreciate that.
Anything. Everybody just jump in as we're going down through.
Yep.
Okay, so we're on
4.
4, section 4, Senator Collmore.
That's
Look
me.
at
Are you still good with that? Okay. Hold on, let me catch up, I'm sorry.
You got section 2 English?
I have section 2, and then-
What was it, 4?
I have 3.
You got 3.
Renner, and then Collmore. That's 4.
You got 5.
Then I have 5.
Okay, so section 5 is Harrison.
Yeah.
Okay, 5 is Harrison. Section 6, me. Collmore.
We'll sleep in the front.
Yeah, you got it.
You got it listed right here? You got it listed here.
7.
7, is Irene, 7.
Yeah.
Whoops. Who's 8?
You are.
Russ. Who's 9?
Harrison. Me.
Harrison. 10. Mazza, 10. 11.
Me.
12 is Mazza. 13,
I think is me. Yes, you okay.
Harrison. 14,
Me.
Collmore. And then
Me.
hold on, what do I have here? Hold on a second. So 14, so 15 and 16 are gone? No, right here.
No, 15 I have.
Oh,
That's the reallocations.
That's broken into 2, it used to be 1 altogether.
okay, so 15 and 16. So 15 is who?
Irene.
Are you good with that? I think, you sounded pretty confident.
Summer state.
You sounded very confident about that yesterday. I like the way you said that yesterday. So you said that with great confidence. 16,
You.
Yeah, yeah.
Ingalls.
17, me. No, I have it as Evans.
Well, there's 2 different things.
Cash funds.
Around-
Capital infrastructure reserve fund.
Did that
Which is
change?
The new word for cash.
Okay, well, what happened to, yeah, because we have HCA Transportation, we had 17, it was
Oh,
Mazza. So
Then
let's-
if you
That's
just
no
gone, 'cause
longer-
they're funding it
That's not in
elsewhere.
the
that's no
bill.
longer in there anymore.
17 is no longer in
Okay, so you got that?
Yeah, I'll take that.
Oh, Dick, you're down to 2
So
things.
Section 17 is going to be a big section that spans lots of subject areas because it's all of the, the cash record.
Okay.
That one we have.
Yeah, Russ, you wanna split off one of yours?
Yeah,
I feel like Senator Miles has got like 2.
I can do the cash fund part of it from that change and all of that stuff, because I'm gonna be involved with that. So I can go, Senator Mazza, if you're comfortable, and please, if you're not, let me know, because it doesn't matter, but I could have you do 164, lines 164 to 176, which is right here, let me show it to you.
They're the same thing.
Oh, shoot, no, we don't have the right sheet here. Yeah, right here, it's Nick, where's the, we got the, I don't have the right sheet for him, right here. You gotta do this one, Nick, you'd like. I'd have you do this section right here, Dick, right here. Yeah. Yeah, I'd have you do that section right there.
And there's no changes on it.
There's no changes, and everything was all great. Are you fine with that? Okay, there's nothing that's controversial in there.
167 to 176.
164 to 176.
164 to 176.
And I'll go,
Transportation is yours, is that it?
well, transportation coming out of the bill. Right? Yeah, 'cause we didn't have, transportation was gonna be the St. Albans, but that came out, that's being handled elsewhere now.
Well, there are the electric vehicles charging stations. That's kind of
Yeah.
transportation.
Well, it's BGS.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay, so everybody comfortable with that?
Yep.
If anybody's not, just let me know. As I said, as we can get a little closer, a couple days before we go, we can just have a little practice reporting.
I'm sorry. to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
When will we be recording, do you know?
Well, we got a little ways to go. If we're gonna, once we comfortable here, we're, I don't know, we'll help with the timeline here. If we can get kind of through this, this week and into next week, we might be able to get this out, middle of next week. What do you guys think?
I think it's Dan Dickerson Joint Fiscal. Yeah, I'm sure it's quite possible. I just don't know the timeline for, what Senator Probst is going to do,
Right.
which is going to impact this bill. So
Right.
that's sort of the wild card. But I think as far as what's in this bill,
We get it done by the end of the week, it's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're,
Next week.
Right.
Do we report it before it goes
No.
across
It-
the?
Yes, we gotta vote it out, we gotta vote it out in the Senate.
They usually rubber stamp it pretty close over there, so it's not.
It'll be voted out of here, then go to Senate Appropriations, and then go to the floor.
Okay,
So it might not, if you vote it out next Friday or next Thursday,
We're
it
gonna have
might
some-
not be on. the
We're gonna have some downtime to, we're
Got
gonna
it.
have some
And it might
downtime
change.
to,
For, till like mid to late the following week.
we're gonna have some downtime to practice
okay.
and to ask questions and all of that. So, also want to reaffirm that I did double check with Jane this morning about my math and all of that, about how that was all gonna work. And basically, what they've said is that the bonded dollars, I mean, we've basically got $39,385, $39,385,000 to work with. And that they, but out of that section, the money, the match monies were gonna be taken care of. She was gonna put it into probably the cash fund or whatever they're calling that, put fences around it so that future legislators, because you're not supposed to be able to bind future legislators, what she'll put some fences around it to protect that match money through the 26 to 27 years. And that the St. Albans facility, again, was something that she'll take care of. That she'll also take care of the language as far as on the reserve fund, whatever we end up calling that. So basically what we're down to is what we see in front of us, the bonded dollars, and a little bit of the reserve fund monies, the cash fund monies that we see. So we're pretty much plugging and playing at this point in time. A lot of those hard decisions have been made for us. So, which is good. Yeah. So great. So yeah, so now we're on language sections plus about 4 sections of the bill that we had questions on. And so what we gonna do today? Were we gonna do language today?
As much as possible, if she has
Yeah,
to
you're gonna be
leave
across the hall.
from what, 1:45 to 2:30?
Do you want, is it too early to start? It's too late to start on that right now?
I could do 5 minutes, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, let's find that bill. Let's find that language stuff.
Guys, do you want me to start with the policy section for the end of the bill, or with the pieces of language that are sort of interspersed in the money section?
Make sure we have the right bill.
So we're
This one
looking,
doesn't have red on it, so that's not the right bill.
we're looking at draft 1.6. Is that what
Yeah,
it is?
that,
Page 40,
I just have
1.6.
the official.
Oh, okay.
Is that the one? Yeah, page 40,
1.6
1.6.
is
Yeah,
the
right
draft.
here. Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks for that.
So I can start, I'll just, Becky Wasserman, Legislative Council, I can just start in section 2, where there is some language pieces in the money section of the bill, just to
Just to
remind.
get us quicker,
Yeah.
Becky, what page are you on?
So I'll start on page 4.
Okay.
So there's a couple of language pieces that are associated with an appropriation, so I'll just go over those to remind you all. So on the bottom of page 4 in the BGS section of the bill,
And I'm gonna, that's section 2. Is that
Yes.
what- Yeah, I'm going to ask that we strike that language on section 2. Um,
which the reporting part. or
Yeah,
the-
I wanna strike beginning September 15th, 2023, and ending January 15th, 2024. The Commissioner of Buildings and General Services shall submit monthly updates on the status and project of the House Committees and Corrections. I think that, that doesn't need to be a monthly report. We can do with what we do. We don't need that language in there.
So strike lines 20 and 21 on page 4, and then lines 1 and 2 on page 5.
Yes.
Yes.
Also move.
So the remaining bit would be the authorization to spend the funds that were appropriated for a water-to-water heat pump system to dehumidify the State House in the summer months. And last year's capital bill required that BGS get approval for the type of heating system. So I think this language is necessary to give that
Yep.
authority.
I don't have a problem with that.
So then I'll move to section 3 on page 5. For the amount that's appropriated for the HVAC systems at correctional facilities, there's some language associated with that, starting on page 20. We discussed this a little bit yesterday, but this is asking PGS to evaluate and develop a design for upgrades and replacements of the HVAC systems in the state's correctional facilities. And then to the extent that BGS identifies sort of an immediate need where they can provide relief in certain kinds of common areas in correctional facilities, they are allowed to use those funds to install HVAC systems in those areas.
That's on page 20? No, page 5.
Page 5,
Right, but then you
lines,
said-
lines 20.
Oh, line 20, okay, I was going back and forth. Okay.
We kind of talked about that, guys, and also that it was probably a priority for the House, and that's where it was. We've got a priority that we have as well, so.
Yeah, that's good.
So I'm good with that. You guys good with that?
Yes.
Okay.
There is also a monthly reporting requirement on.
Yeah, we're gonna strike that.
page
Coming out.
6, line 8.
Are we just striking all monthly?
We're gonna strike the monthly reporting. It's
Okay, I
it's
would
just,
like to know why
Right.
they put it in.
Because they want reporting.
Sometimes reporting can be good.
We just took a whole bunch out of transportation today.
Right.
Worthless. They print all this stuff and they send it out or whatever.
Who has time to read
It's
it?
pretty neat. Did it?
Well, some people do.
well, we're gonna
If you want
strike
it,
it.
don't get it.
Can
You can go in, you can go
You
ask
want to
them.
read all that stuff?
You could ask the commissioner
I? I
anytime.
don't
You
want to
can go
read
ask them.
that. I want-
Go ahead.
Accountability is important. I just don't even know what this is about, but fine, I'm just registering that it's not unanimous, but that's
You
okay.
just want to know, that's all.
Well, I want to know why they wanted it, yeah.
So this would give the committees an update on, for example,
Just
Evidently.
remember that. don't care what they want.
I'm learning that.
this would give an update on, for
Yeah.
example, if they had identified an area where they could install an HVAC system, a report would go to the committees, and just generally about the project, and identifying sites around.
Yeah, I mean.
To me, it
New
makes no
thing.
more sense than to have your tires changed and have the mechanic come out halfway through and say, yeah, we're all set. How you doing?
Yeah.
Well, then don't come out and tell me, just get the job done.
Or give me a report every month how much tires are doing.
But
Exactly.
But this is a new thing, like, tell me if I'm switching from tires to skids, let me know how that's going. This is a completely new program, but we don't need to be talking about it.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
Is there anything preventing the BGS commissioner from reporting to us
No.
during the year if she finds something
No,
catastrophic?
no,
She could
no.
email us, right, and let us know. if there was a-
And they do,
Okay,
and they do.
just check, okay.
And then, and if there's any time, at any time, as a senator or as part of this committee, at any time that you don't think that you are being told correctly, you have the right to ask them. And so, and if you ever, at any time that you think that something's being withheld from you, you have the ability to ask them, well, why would you have withheld that? Why didn't you tell us that? Why didn't you do this? So, yeah, so.
All right, since we appointed her. that
I
makes
think
sense.
that what gets lost in a lot of this stuff is that what doesn't get reported is the interactions that you have between these people that come to see you and the conversations that you have and the references that you have going down through as they're coming and reporting to you. I mean, they come down every year. We ask them, they report to us all the time. They report to us problems. They report to us concerns. They report if they've got a setback. And to sit there and make it a monthly report when maybe you just don't have anything to report that month, you're spending hours and hours and hours to put a report out to report nothing. Let's let them do their jobs and let them come to us and we can ask them if there's something we have concerns about. They've been hired to do with what they're to do, and let's trust them to do their jobs.
So we'll strike
I do
line
have
eight
to
through
run across the hall, but I will come back as soon as I'm done.
In,
How long might you think?
I think it's like half an hour.
Okay. Do you have some stuff?
I can, there's one section of the bill that was sort of something that I had suggested to House institutions, so I could walk through that at section 21.
Okay.
But beyond that, I have to defer to Becky.
No problem. And then if you guys, then you just give a holler, okay?
How does section?
So that is,
I have one on page 31. Is that 31?
yeah, 31 is section 21.
Oh, of this.
So this piece is language regarding the construct of the capital construction bill. And what is required here is that when the bill comes over from the governor, it'll have recommendations for capital projects that may be paid for from the capital infrastructure reserve fund. So it's just creating that process for how recommendations for using those dollars move through the legislative process. And then down here it gets into the unspent funds piece. So currently, once funds are 2 years old or 2 years after they've been appropriated, agencies are supposed to report on those funds, but the current language just says, essentially, you're just stating what is that, like what is unspent, and that's really it. No context behind what's going on. And so the goal here was to get a little bit more information because the House is pretty active in monitoring those unspent funds. They've got the quote unquote refo committee that identifies reallocations. So you see here, this first piece under, let's see, it's line 10 through 12 on page 32. It's just stating that any amounts appropriated in a previous capital construction act that are unexpended for at least 5 years shall be reallocated to future capital construction acts. So I think in sort of principle, it's saying you have 5 years to either obligate or get these funds out the door, or we will reallocate them. I don't think that precludes the administration from coming in and saying, hey, we'd like this to be extended, but it's just sort of creating that expectation going forward that, you can't hold on to these funds perpetually. And then starting on line 13 of the same page 32, it's requiring that starting on November 15th each year, the Commissioner of Finance and Management will require all entities that have capital funds to report to them on those unspent funds. And then they're going to put it all into one report that would go to
Are you sure you're on the same draft?
I think you're on just a different page. Do you want to look? This is what we have.
Oh, let's see.
It looked like you were saying 32 and it was 33.
I was following him.
1.6. I've got the version as passed the House, so it might be slightly different.
Oh,
So yeah,
I was still following you, I just couldn't read it.
but the page
We
was,
got,
It's probably as introduced.
by the Committee of Corrections.
draft 1.6. All right, let me see if I can
Yeah, 1.6.
identify.
I just have some concerns on my copy of page 31. I'll let you find.
Okay.
On page 31, 11 through 14, I want to check to make sure that is what is going to be done. I know they want to hold a presence. They want to have a presence within Burlington as far as the department. I just want to make sure that this doesn't handicap any decisions that they've already made. So I know that they're going to relocate some of the employees to the Waterbury Center but they did want to maintain a presence. I just want to make sure, I want to find out what BGS's and what the administration, all stakeholders, I want to find out what their preference was for that. So before we make a decision on lines 11 through 14.
you want to know their preference for the language,
I
not
wanna
their
know-
preference for the location.
I want to know what their thought process is whether out of respect for everybody involved, whether this is what they thought they were gonna do, what their plans were to do. I don't want to handicap them into, again, telling them what I want to know what their decision is. What were their thoughts? What were they gonna do? What were you gonna do before we go to agree to this? This is the House, this is what the House says. I want to see what the people who are making the decisions, what their plan was. Other than that, what you discussed, to be honest with you, I don't have a problem with the reporting back on the November 15th to let us know what the monies are or the expenditures. I don't have a problem with the 5-year. I'm surprised that we're even waiting 5 years for that. I'm fine with that. I think that's good policy. I just, the committee, whatever you guys feel as far as that as well, please speak up.
Well, if you go back to page 31, you could read line 14 to mean all state employees.
Right, that's why I wanna,
And that wasn't what I heard them say.
right, that's why I wanna find out, that's why I wanna find out what
Good
their,
catch.
what their intents are.
Yeah, and it was so that state employees who provide client services.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, those are the ones.
All the
they
people
were
we're moving,
inserted.
moving to Waterbury.
Right, so let's find out, let's
Right,
find
and
out
the
if
people
ours
who
on
provide
that, okay?
services.
It might be just a little bit of a whatever, but I know that they plan to have a small presence in Burlington, that's fine. They can work with Burlington, or maybe they already have a site in Burlington picked out. Why do they need to work with Burlington?
Right.
When they might have already, they have their own staff to go and find locations. Why do they have to work with the city?
Yeah.
So they might, so if they don't want to have an office within Burlington, let them go and find an office. And then we do know that the vast majority of them are gonna move to Waterbury. So let's get, BGS in here and, maybe Commissioner Clauser or Sean Brown or whoever to tell us what their intent is and how they deem that language to be.
So the 5-year stuff, can we go back on that? Because that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, let me, I guess I'll clarify, the version I have, I'm on section 21, but I think the version you guys have it's actually section 22.
Yes, it is.
Okay, good.
So sorry, so I won't be able to correctly or accurately identify what lines, but essentially I'm on sort of towards the bottom of section 22. So yeah, the five-year piece is just, because we found funds going back to 2012 this year. That's a concern.
Yeah.
So like I said, it doesn't preclude them from coming in and saying, hey, we need a little bit more time. And, I think there are certain cases where they absolutely will, like,
Oh, yeah.
we're setting aside money in this bill for the new women's correctional facility, and that's gonna be, I think a long time to get to completion. So those funds will probably be out there for a while.
So I'm reading, and maybe this isn't, I'm not understanding it correctly. On line 14, all unexpended funds, this is current language,
What page?
page 32.
Okay.
All unexpended funds remaining for project, blah, 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 2 years or more shall be reported to the General Assembly, may be reallocated. Then the next line says, any amounts appropriated that are unexpended for 5 years shall be. So are those at odds, or is that just a further refinement?
I don't think they're at odds. I think it's saying that, starting 2 years out and beyond, we want you to report the status of those projects.
Okay.
Where the funds are 2 years
Yeah.
or older. But then at the 5-year point,
You don't have any choice.
at the 5-year point, they're gonna be reallocated, or you need to come in and sort of make a case
Okay.
during your testimony
I
that
think
you need
that's
to get
fair.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Guys,
totally.
Ready?
Oh, yeah,
Bill?
don't wanna,
Okay. I think that's fair.
forget about
Yeah.
money that's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have a problem of this one, I don't have a problem of them on November 15th of each year, the Commissioner of Finance and Management shall require each entity to which spending authority has been authorized by Capital Construction Act, enacted in legislation that there was 2 or more prior years. I don't have a problem with them coming in and reporting about the status of where that project is so that we can make a determination about, okay, well, we'll continue with that, or maybe we will reallocate those funds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at the bottom, it's sort of like where you're going, at the bottom of D1, we're just adding, instead of just saying what the amounts are that are unspent,
we're saying now the report shall include plans for unexpended funds, any projects or contracts the funds are assigned to, and any anticipated timelines. So it's just asking for some additional context to help, just like what you said.
Okay.
And then, so the November 15th is when agencies would be reporting to finance and management, and then on or before December 15th.
Is that a date, Dan, that's within government that they would anyways? Is that a date that was picked out of the air? Is that a date within government that would normally happen, or is that just a date that was picked?
I think the goal was to have it a little bit sooner than the session starting, so that way the administration can be pulling it together and have it ready when the session starts, so the legislature can hit the ground running. So instead of making it January 15th, so that it's not there until the last possible minute. Now the information is going to be out there starting December 15th. I can be looking at it, Becky can be looking at it, and we can have, and legislators can be looking at it too, leading up to the session. Because it helps at least on the House side, when they're looking at the capital budget and the adjustment, it helps them make decisions when, they know
Hit the ground
a
running.
little about, yeah. So on December 15th, the Commissioner of Finance Management is just sort of taking all that information from all the agencies, putting it in one report, so the legislature's not getting a bunch of individual reports from different agencies. So that's, that's the language that I was involved in that I can speak to. I think everything else, I think everything else I would Becky, I think she's more keyed in on the corrections stuff that's in here.
Okay, so we've crossed out, the only one that we kind of have standing until Becky gets back is the language, which we'll have, as we said, we'll get some more testimony on that. The 108 Cherry.
Lines 11 through 14.
11 through 14.
Do you have any issues on any other areas? Just so I can read them in
Not
advance?
that Becky's, well, we crossed out the two sections that I did.
Yeah.
But no, not until Becky comes back, and we might as well wait for Becky to come back. Maybe we'll just take a break. Unless Nicholas got something for us.
Nothing in particular, Jim.
Okay, and then Dan, unless you got some more stuff for us.
Not at this point. I think you spoke to, you had additional information on where the cash fund is going and where those expenses are going. So that was the only thing that I was going to speak to, but I think you already covered it. So.
Okay, so you're comfortable with all that?
Yeah, I think the only little piece, well, actually, two pieces that I guess I'll touch on really fast. I think with the AOT garage, I think what I've heard is it's most likely going to be a contingent appropriation that'll be based on where revenues end up at the end of the fiscal year. So it won't be guaranteed, but I think revenues are looking pretty good. So there's a pretty good chance that.
Yeah, that's how it was said to me as well.
That's 3.5, right?
Yeah, 3.5.
3.5.
It's what it was said to me. It's kind of really out of our hands unless we wanted to pull it back in. And I guess I'm probably not really willing to pull it back in because I really don't have any rooms within the budget to find that type of 3.5 million. And it sounds like with some assurances, exactly what you just said, Dan. It's how it was said to me. Unless the world goes to hell, it's probably going to happen. And so, which I was okay with.
Yeah.
So
the general fund's been pretty strong. I mean, once April ends and a lot of those tax filings come in, we'll have a really, really good sense of where this year's going to end up. But as of right now, it's the general fund's looking pretty good. So those contingents, I mean, I don't know how much they're going to put into that category, but there's at least going to be some capacity to fund some of those things that are contingent. And then the only other really, really minor clarification was on the cumulative number for the cash fund. I think the spreadsheet you have is 39,385,000. But the one thing that A&R had requested to have changed is the IIJ match for 24-25. When the House had the bill, they had estimated about 9.7 million between those 2 years, and now they, because they got some additional clarity from the federal government, it's now 9.8 million. So I think they'd asked for an additional 100,000. So I funneled that to our folks over in the pros, and they're fine with upping that amount that's on your spreadsheet by half.
And what I'm
So
going
that
to,
9.7.
and what I'm gonna need from you two, Dan, as we spoke yesterday, once we get, we're still gonna have to appropriate the 9.7, or what you're talking about, 9.8. We're still gonna have to make sure we appropriate that. It's really the 14.6, the difference between 24.4 and the 9.7, the 14.6 that was gonna go into the reserve fund, cash fund, or whatever. I just wanna make sure when it's all said and done that we have these numbers square with where
Yeah.
everybody wants to go, and I know that you will, but,
I think the capital bill will continue to have to authorize the projects that use cash fund dollars, which the IAJ match is a part of that. The big bill will continue to carry the actual appropriations, and so that will cover 24 and 25, the 9.8. But yeah, 14.6, I don't think they're gonna appropriate it, but they're gonna segregate it within the cash funds.
Right.
Or put guardrails around it, I guess.
Right.
To make sure it's available for
right.
beyond
Right.
2020.
And that's not unprecedented. Actually, Senator Kitchell and Senator Mazza did that in J-Talk with, wasn't it J-Talk where you did it, put it around police cars?
Yep, put a fence around.
Put a fence around it.
So
So
they
that,
only go so many years, so many miles, they automatically keep their rated. Because they're out there risking their lives every day, and they just run some of those cars for
Yeah.
1,000 miles. So now they automatically get a car. We did that with state plow trucks for 8 years ago. That way they're updated on their plow trucks too.
okay. Cool.
Yeah, as right now, that's all I have.
Okay.
For you.
Well, why don't we take a little bit of break and we'll wait for Becky to come back and we'll